You're probably watching this video while your boss is curled up asleep on the sofa, purring like a tiny space heater. But at this very same moment, somewhere else in the world, another cat with the exact same golden eyes is being called something entirely different: delicacy, tonic, bar snack. By just changing longitude, latitude, and language, a cat's place in human life can jump from family member to cheap source of protein in a single sentence. From northern Vietnam with the dish tieu ho, a euphemism for cat meat, to southern China with the hot pot called dragon, tiger, phoenix, and all the way to Australia, where indigenous communities hunt feral cats as an invasive species. In some places, cats get birthday parties and personal Instagram accounts. In many others, they are seen as food that brings luck, health, or simply a cheap source of meat. This video is not something you watch just to kill 5 minutes and then scroll away. This is a journey around the world through the places where people still eat cat meat. From historical roots in war, poverty, and hunger, to the situation today, what the law says, what animal protection groups are doing, and the heated debates wrapped around 2 words: culture and cruelty. If you truly love cats, I want you to stay until the end, not to judge other countries, but to understand why cats were once put in the category of food, why even in 2025 there are still places where cat meat is considered normal, and what we, the people who see cats as family, can do without becoming extremists ourselves. Before we dive into the map of where in the world people still eat cat meat, I want to make one thing clear with you. This video is not for you to share with the caption, "Oh my God, these people are so barbaric," and then walk away feeling more moral than everyone else. We're going to look at cat meat through 3 lenses. First lens is history and survival, when cats were just wild animals around the house, and war, famine, and disease pushed people to eat anything that could keep their families alive. Second lens is culture and belief. The stories of cat meat strengthens the bones, eat cat at the start of the year for good luck, black cat meat wards off bad luck, where the cat is forced into the role of a meowing medicine. Third lens is modern law and controversy, where one side says, "This is tradition, you have no right to judge us," and the other side asks, what kind of tradition is allowed to be built on the suffering of an animal that feels fear, pain, and forms bonds with humans? After that, we'll need to make a few things clear. First, cat meat is not some faraway issue. It once existed, and still exists, within societies where people are crazy about cats, with one group bringing cats into the house and another putting them into the pot. Second, an entire country is not savage just because some people there eat cat meat. Even in places where cat meat is still consumed, there are countless people fighting to end it. Third, if you truly love cats, you need to understand the bigger picture: where cats came from, how they've been treated, why laws are changing in many places, and how the voices of cat lovers online, even a single comment or one share, can add up into real pressure for change. In the next sections, we'll walk through each stage, from ancient records and periods of hardship to today's cat meat villages and cat delicacies, and the international campaigns trying to stop all of this. I promise to go deep enough for you to see the whole picture, but fair enough to not turn an entire culture into the villain of the story. Fact number 1. When cats were just survival meat in war and famine. If you had lived in Europe during the wars of the 20th century, chances are the cat wouldn't have been on your sofa, but in a stew pot. In many parts of France, Italy, and Spain, cats were once eaten as an emergency meat when war, harsh winters, and famine drove people to eat whatever they could to keep their families alive. At one point, people even called cat meat by a more digestible name: roof rabbit, a way to avoid admitting they were eating an animal that chased mice and slept by the stove. Historians and anthropologists see this as a survival reflex. When hunger reaches the eat-or-die threshold, the line between pet and food gets temporarily erased. But the important point is this. In most of Europe today, eating cat meat is either outright illegal or heavily condemned by society. Animal welfare laws have been tightened, and killing cats for food is banned in many countries. That reminds us that not every story of eating cat meat started from pure cruelty. Sometimes it came from desperation. But understanding the context does not mean dragging that past into the present, especially when we are no longer in wartime or starving. So when someone says, back then people were starving, they even ate cats, what's the big deal? You can calmly answer, yes, but back then, starving is not a moral permission slip for now eating for fun. The context has changed, and so has our knowledge about animal emotions and pain. Fact number 2. Southeast Asia, from tieu on the menu to international campaigns. If you zoom in on Southeast Asia, you'll see one of the hotspots of cat meat right in this region. In some parts of Vietnam, especially in the north, cat meat used to be sold under the name tieu, little tiger, a stronger, luckier-sounding phrase than calling it cat meat outright. Some people believe eating cat at the start of the year clears bad luck, that eating black cats wards off misfortune, or simply see it as an unusual drinking snack. Social scientists explain that in contexts of poverty, lack of information, and superstition, eating cats becomes a form of tonic or bad luck cleanser. International animal protection organizations estimate that in Cambodia, Vietnam, and Indonesia alone, more than 9 million dogs and over 1 million cats are killed for the meat trade every year, often in extremely cruel conditions, overcrowded cages, long-distance transport, and brutal slaughter methods. Many of these animals are actually stolen pets. But the picture isn't entirely dark. In Hanoi, authorities have repeatedly called on citizens to stop eating dog and cat meat due to disease risks, such as rabies, leptospirosis, and because of the image of a civilized, modern capital. Surveys by organizations such as Four Paws and Humane World for Animals show that most Vietnamese people do not see eating dogs and cats as their culture, and more than 70% support banning the trade and consumption of cat meat. Within the very same city, some people throw birthday parties for their cats, while others kill cats for a lucky drinking feast. But even in places where cat meat was used to be common, the wave of opposition is coming from local people themselves, not from Westerners flying in to lecture them on morality. If you live in these areas, the smallest thing you can do is refuse to spend money at places that sell cat meat, and speak up when you see cats being transported or traded illegally. Don't forget, many of those animals are beloved pets that someone out there is desperately searching for. Fact number 3. East Asia, from winter tonic to cities that start banning it. In some southern provinces of China, like Guangdong and Guangxi, cat meat was once considered a winter tonic, appearing in hot pots and stews under fancy names like dragon, tiger, phoenix, or snake, cat, chicken, with the belief that it warms the body and strengthens the bones. The cats used in these dishes are often collected from many provinces, transported over long distances, and many of them are strays or stolen pets taken from residential areas. But inside China itself, a strong wave of opposition has been rising. From around 2010 onward, domestic animal protection networks began organizing protests, collecting signatures, and exposing trucks illegally transporting dogs and cats. After the COVID-19 pandemic, the city of Shenzhen became the first in China to completely ban the trade and consumption of dog and cat meat, with new regulations clearly listing which species can be eaten and deliberately leaving dogs and cats off that list. Within the same culture, you can see two parallel images. On one side, hot pot restaurants touting tonic dishes. On the other, Chinese citizens holding banners that say dogs and cats are friends, not food, on their own streets. This reminds us, don't confuse a segment of people with an entire nation. If you're a tourist, you have every right to avoid markets or restaurants that serve dogs and cats. Your money is a silent vote. Whoever you give it to is who you help survive. Fact number 4. Not just Asia, festivals, rituals, and poverty in places you'd never expect. If you think eating cat meat is just an Asian thing, unfortunately, the map is more complicated than that. In some communities in Cameroon, Africa, eating cats is tied to rituals for good luck, seeing cats as animals that bring good fortune in certain ceremonies. In Peru, some towns once held food festivals featuring cat dishes based on historical stories that their ancestors had to eat cats to survive during periods of scarcity. This festival was banned by the courts in 2013 for cruelty and food safety reasons, but a few years later, there were still reports of it being held again, showing the tug-of-war between tradition and animal rights. In Switzerland, selling dog and cat meat is illegal, but there is still a legal loophole allowing individuals to kill and eat their own pets, even though this is intensely condemned by society, and animal groups have repeatedly campaigned to close this gap. Even in Australia, some indigenous communities around the Alice Springs area still have the practice of eating feral cats, partly for cultural reasons, partly because feral cats are an invasive species that severely harm native wildlife. Here, the debate isn't just poor cat, but also when one species is both a pet and a predator destroying native animals, how do we respond in a way that is humane and still protects the environment? The story of eating cat meat doesn't belong to some distant culture far away, but is part of the history and present of many regions around the world, each with its own mix of survival, poverty, belief, and a lack of updated knowledge about animal emotion and cognition. Instead of sharing posts with captions like "People from X and Y country are monsters," focus on asking, in that place, who is trying to change things? And how can I stand on their side? Supporting local groups, lawyers, and activists is always more effective than insulting an entire country from afar. Fact number 5. The 2020s. Cat markets, international campaigns, and the clash of culture versus compassion. Stepping into the 2020s, the cat meat picture sits between two powerful forces. On one side, cold numbers, millions of dogs and a large number of cats killed every year for the meat trade, crammed into cages, transported over long distances. Many of them are strays or stolen pets taken from residential areas. On the other, a wave of resistance stronger than ever, both from inside and outside the countries involved. Organizations like Four Paws, Humane Society International, and Soy Dog Foundation are investigating, rescuing, lobbying for laws, and working with governments in Southeast Asia to end the dog and cat meat trade. In Taiwan, selling and consuming cat and dog meat has been completely banned since 2017. In South Korea, in 2024, the government approved a roadmap to phase out the dog meat industry, creating a powerful precedent for the region. In Vietnam, recent policy dialogues publicly described the dog and cat meat trade as a threat to public health and the country's reputation, alongside pilot projects to help people who depend on this trade shift to other livelihoods. Hanoi and international organizations have signed cooperation agreements on rabies control and support for those in the industry to transition to new jobs, which means even the government has chosen a side, a future without dog and cat meat. And this is where the debate reaches a peak. One side says, "This is our tradition, you don't get to impose Western standards on us." The other side asks, what tradition has the right to exist if it's built on fear and pain inflicted on an animal you yourselves call friend and pet? Cat meat today is no longer just about what's nutritious, but has become a test. How far are we willing to expand our moral circle from just humans to the animals that share our homes? Don't buy it. Don't eat it. Don't try it once just to know.
Every try is a vote to keep this industry alive. Support campaigns, sign trustworthy petitions, follow the organizations that are actually working on the ground. If you're a content creator, a business owner, a tour guide, you have the power to choose how you tell the story, either normalizing cat meat or highlighting cats as sentient individuals with feelings, not exotic dishes. And don't forget to stay until the end. The next parts will be even more painful to hear, and the Science Corner will go straight to one core question. From a behavioral and neurological perspective, how do cats experience fear, pain, and attachment to humans, and how does that turn eating cats into a serious ethical issue?
If we put all emotions aside for a moment, the core question is this. From a scientific point of view, is a cat an object, or is it an individual with consciousness, emotions, memories, and the ability to form bonds? If it's the second, then eating cats is no longer just about taste. It becomes an ethical issue. First, cats experience pain and fear in ways that are strikingly similar to us at the nervous system level. They have pain receptors, nociceptors, neural pathways, and brain regions that process pain in ways very comparable to humans. When they're injured, their heart rate goes up, their breathing changes, pupils dilate, and stress hormones like cortisol spike. They don't just react, they also remember. A painful experience at a clinic, in an abusive place, or at a slaughterhouse can cause extreme panic later just from smelling the same odor or hearing the same sound. To put it plainly, for a cat, being crammed in a tiny cage, hearing other cats screaming, smelling blood, is the equivalent of a living nightmare. Second, cats are capable of forming emotional bonds with humans. They're not just cohabiting for fun. Studies on attachment styles in cats show that many cats form secure attachments to their caregivers, similar to how children attach to their parents. When the owner leaves the room, they become anxious. When the owner returns, they calm down and use that person as a secure base to explore the environment. In simple terms, for many cats, you are home. Not the apartment, not the food bowl, but your body, your voice, your scent. Third, cats have long-term memory and individual identity. They remember who treated them kindly, who treated them badly, how to get home, and their daily routines. This is usually when I get brushed. This is when the window gets opened. Cats rescued from slaughterhouses or meat trucks often carry a kind of feline PTSD. They jump at every sound, hide under furniture, lash out when they hear metal clanging or a loud male voice. They do not forget easily. Fourth, from an evolutionary perspective, cats have come a long way. From wild animals to commensal partners to household pets. Over many generations, cats have been selected to be less afraid of humans, more inclined to communicate, and better at reading human signals, eye contact, voice tone, body movement. They are no longer just wild animals hanging around the village, but companions who live inside our homes, sleep on our beds, and share our most intimate spaces. When you decide to eat a species like that, you're not just eating meat. You're breaking an invisible moral contract. You let them into your home, you let them trust you, and then in the end, you treat them as food. Finally, animal behavior science increasingly agrees on one point. Cats have a much richer emotional life than the cold, indifferent label humans love to put on them. They feel joy, fear, stress, loneliness, and they sink into grief when they lose a companion. A species like that, when treated as a raw material for food,
will go through a long chain of negative emotional states, from the moment they are captured, confined, and transported until the moment they are killed. In short, if you accept that cats can feel fear, pain, and attachment, then the story of eating cats is no longer just culinary culture. It becomes a very direct question. Do we have the right to inflict that level of fear and pain on a species that could live with us and already has lived with us as family?
Mistakes of the pro-cat side and how to fix them. Mistake 1. Venting your anger on an entire nation. Calling people from XY barbarians or this whole country is disgusting only makes people there, including those who are fighting to save cats, turn their backs on you. You don't need more enemies. You need local allies. Fix. Aim precisely. Criticize behaviors, policies, markets, restaurants, and trafficking networks. Don't condemn an entire nationality. Mistake 2. Sharing violent images everywhere. You think you are showing the world the truth, but for many people, those images are trauma. For others, they become something they watch for sick satisfaction. Fix. If you really need to use images, blur them, add content warnings, and prioritize linking to reputable organizations where images come with action, rescues, legal advocacy, not just shock content for views. Mistake 3. Using false or exaggerated information. Country X eats cats every day. 100% of people in Y eat them. These statements are both untrue and destroy your own credibility. Fix. Cite sources, use phrases like some groups, certain regions, some communities, and be willing to correct yourself if you find out you used the wrong numbers. Mistake 4. Turning yourself into an outraged keyboard warrior who does nothing concrete. You yell, you share in anger, and then that's it. No extra cats get saved out there. Fix. Choose fewer actions, but make them real. Sign a credible petition, donate a small amount once, unfollow channels that normalize cat meat, and talk to people around you in a calm but firm tone. Mistakes of the pro-cat meat side and some hard-to-swallow truths. Mistake 1. Mixing survival with eating for fun. War and famine are one thing. Today, you live in a city full of supermarkets and restaurants. Choosing to chew on a plate of cat because it's exotic, good for the bones, is something completely different. Don't drag your grandparents' hunger into the story to put lipstick on a choice that is purely about pleasure. Mistake 2. Hiding behind the word culture to dodge responsibility. If what you do has to be hidden, spoken in code, transported secretly, skirting the law, living in a legal gray zone, and makes most people of your own nationality feel ashamed, it's very hard to call that a beautiful culture. True culture doesn't need to skulk in the shadows. Mistake 3. Pretending not to know about cats' suffering. In the past, people might not have understood animal emotions. Today, everything is sitting right there on Google. Cats feel fear and pain and suffer severe stress throughout the capture, confinement, slaughter chain. Pretending they don't know anything anyway isn't ignorance anymore. It's a deliberate choice to ignore the truth. Quick checklist. If you truly want to stand on the cat side, in everyday life, be absolutely firm about not trying it once just to know, not inviting others, not reviewing, and not promoting places that sell cat meat. When you travel, if you see a menu using vague wording, images, or slang hinting at cat or dog, walk out and choose somewhere else. Your money is a vote. Don't vote for this industry to exist. Online, before sharing an outraged post, ask yourself, does this information have a source? Is it accurate? Does it come with suggested actions? Or is it just emotional clickbait? Prioritize sharing content that reports new laws, campaigns by reputable organizations, or rescue stories with clear details, not just slaughter videos posted just to farm engagement. When you argue online, target behaviors and systems directly and avoid insulting nationality, skin color, or religion. In terms of concrete actions, you can sign petitions, support, even very modestly, rescue organizations or local networks, and join community groups that speak up for cats but have clear rules. No doxing, no incitement to violence. If you're a content creator, decide, will your channel be a place that normalizes cat meat or a place that tells honest stories about cats and the people trying to protect them? Red flags to remember. Restaurants using slang names for cat meat, scenes of many cats crammed into cages outside a shop, people advertising collecting cats or buying cats by the kilo for unclear reasons, pages posting graphic abuse of cats to raise money but not being transparent about how that money is used. All of these are signs you should stay away, report, or pass information to rescue groups or relevant organizations if possible.
Right now, Your Royal Highness at home is probably doing one of three familiar things: sleeping curled up in a corner of the couch, lying stretched out across your keyboard, or quietly watching you from the windowsill. It has no idea about the global map of cat meat, knows nothing about transport trucks full of cages, and has never heard of debates over culture versus compassion. Its world is tiny: a food ball, a litter box, a few square meters of floor, and you. In that tiny world, you are everything. The footsteps that signal mealtime, the hand that touches its back every night, the voice it knows so well that it can feel your mood just from the way you sigh. For many cats, we've unknowingly signed a contract without ever reading it carefully. I'll let you into my home, I'll feed you, give you a place to sleep, and let you trust me. In return, you'll give me a sense of peace at the end of a long day. The problem is, in some places in the world, that contract has never been signed. The same species of cat, yet in one place it's given a name, in another it's given a price per kilo. In one place, it's rushed to the vet for a single cough. In another, it's shoved into a cage for a lucky New Year feast. Between those two extremes, where do we, the people watching this video, choose to stand? When you close this video, you'll go back to normal life. Work, bills, deadlines. Your cat will still be there, resting with its head on your arm while you pick up your phone and start scrolling again. It won't know what you just watched or thought about. But the outside world, the one where nameless, homeless cats exist, can change a tiny bit if everyone who made it this far decides to do just one small thing differently. If you feel that what I've shared matters, please help this video travel a little farther. Like it so the algorithm understands this is a topic worth seeing, subscribe to the channel so we have more space to talk about cat welfare in a deep, thoughtful, and fair way, and leave a comment. What country are you in, and how does the story of cats where you live match or differ from what I've described? I read every comment, and your stories will help future videos become more accurate, more nuanced, and more humane. A gentle reminder: our team works with a companion veterinarian. If your cat shows unusual signs or worrying symptoms, please leave a comment below. We'll look at it and support you as soon as we can. In an emergency, please take your cat to a clinic immediately. Thank you for staying all the way to the end, not just for a video, but for a small species that has walked alongside humans for many centuries, from rice fields to living room sofas. I hope that from today on, every time you look into a cat's eyes, you won't just see a cute pet, but a reminder: we are capable of being better than this.